So yeah, there's two that I was hoping that we can get at before we hop into this
Right.
last portion. So the question that Victoria asked, and then there's a question that Steve asked, and then we'll get to Victoria's. Why associations versus targeting companies in our respective industries of laser focus? And so I thought that was a great conversation for us to have here, in this forum of why associations versus industry organization.
Well, I think that could be covered in the breakout groups as well. But basically, the point that Ed is making is the association executives are so much easier to identify. And there's a gazillion different associations. And if you go after just targeting, I mean, there was comments the other day about Lisa Ryan's program. Lisa does nothing apart from associations. And what she does is she basically, I'm not sure that she wrote Ed's script or Ed wrote her script kind of thing, but basically they're following the same basic model again and again and again. You probably won't get the same level of fee from an association event as you would if you're doing a breakout or if you're doing a keynote for a sales conference or a leadership conference for one of the even medium-sized organizations. But it's much easier to identify who the people are, and there's a lot more events going on there. So I would say with that one.
And remember, it doesn't have to be an either or either. So, you know, they say when you find gold, dig. And so if you have a next door neighbor that works in the industry that you're comfortable with, and they're talking about needing some help, you don't have to go to an association for that. You've got your next door neighbor, or you've got somebody who came across you and are interested. But I think the value of associations is you have lots of people from lots of companies. So it's like, I think he called it free advertising. And some people make their living on associations. Some make it on just doing college work, going from college to college with their presentation. So there's lots and lots of different variety in here, but I think it's good to be open to saying yes when opportunities present themselves. And then you let your audience then really finds you, and your specialty finds you.
And Tish, you had a question from Victoria. We'll try and cover it quickly.
Yeah, so Victoria's question earlier was around, do you hire a brand coach to kind of bolster your brand and who you are? Victoria, does that capture what you were asking?
Yeah, it does. Just as there was a lot of talk about image and age and differences, I just thought it would be a good question to ask because everybody's thinking about how they want to present themselves. And I guess just in thinking about all the different types of coaches that you can have as you're laying this foundation to grow your speaking business, I just thought it would be a good question. So yeah, it does capture.
So I think, as you were asking that question, I heard it transition into transition and there were different facets of it. So when you first were asking, it was almost as if, do we hire someone to kind of tell me what my brand should be? And then it transitioned into, well, how do we begin to promote brand? And I think that is the piece that's important, is that it's not about us hiring someone to tell us who we should be. It's about us hiring someone and we say, this is who I am. How do I best promote me? And so I think that's the perspective that we want to approach this from. Now, some will say you don't need to invest the money to do that. But for me, I find that's helpful for me because the way that I want to market myself and market my brand is pretty large, and I don't know how to capture the audiences at which I want to reach. And so I would hire someone who can help me maximize and promote my brand because that makes sense for me. But I don't want to hire someone to tell me who I should be because I should already have a clear perspective about what that is. So that's just my thoughts on that. But I think it's a really good idea for people. Like for me, I'm not creative in that way. So someone to say, this is how you promote you. This is the way to package it. These are, your taglines, all those things I think would be beneficial for me.
There are some 4-letter words that Connor kind of reacts to, and one of those is hire. So you want to be really careful about hiring someone because what they're really good at is selling their services. You want to make sure that, as Tish said, that the outcomes are what you want them to be. And so, especially for all of us who are kind of in the early phases of our career, you have a lot of you have a lot of buddies in your small group. You have experts in Illinois who are glad to talk to you. And then when it comes time for doing the hiring, like Tish said, this is somebody that really I'm confident they're going to help me move to this next level.
But
But
how would you even,
You'll see Connor shake if you start talking about hiring people.
how would you even know who that person is? I mean,
Yes.
what questions should you ask if you're contemplating hiring a brand expert or an image consultant or somebody in that realm?
Can you give me the names of some of your clients that I could talk to?
Okay.
Yeah, I would always ask for that. And how do I know this is gonna work? Now, you can also sign up for Tony Robbins' free 3-day seminar. But by the end of the third day, you're gonna be buying something. So I think I would ask for the same thing I would ask from any professional. Can you give me some names of people that you have worked with? And then you get a chance to kind of talk to people, and then you find out, are they just excited to work with this person, or do they really have a decent website? Is it somebody you would hire? Because sometimes you'll get a bunch of people who might be new who think this person is a guru, but they're not, but they haven't quite gotten to where they need to be, but they just love being with this person. And I think that's another thing. So, I think Tish is wise to be thinking about, here's what I can do, here's what I need. Excuse me, then you find out their outcomes. Excuse me.
And just to yes, and that, Catherine, is even before I have a conversation with them, I'm looking at all of their platforms. I'm looking at their website. I'm looking at their social media. I'm looking at all the things that will give me an indication that they could potentially get me. If I'm looking at all these different outlets and there's nothing that resembles the brand that I'm trying to achieve, they may not be a good match for me. But if I see someone that may be close to and have produced a kind of what I'm thinking, then I will open up and reach out to have a conversation.
I mean, one of the great resources, obviously, is just the NSA community. Yeah, keep asking questions. But I think the first, what I would suggest is Kevin talks about me being very slow to hire people, and you know my view that you can get scammed pretty badly in this community. But what I would say to you is that I think the most important thing is that you know what your positioning is, and Ed Rigsby was talking about it again, and everyone else will be talking about it. That's the first thing you start with. We keep going back over that over the next few classes. Know what topics you want to speak on. And I think once you've got an idea of that, then you can get some kind of an idea of what your brand is going to be. At that stage, it might be worth your while talking to some experts or image consultants. And here's the bottom line, gang. It's an unfair world. Women are viewed differently on stage compared to men. All right. So you've got to decide whether or not and we all have got to decide is the image I'm projecting in tandem with my brand? So the back road I've got here is in tandem with Irishman Speaks. The material I do, the most popular keynote is The Gift of Gab, Goals, Attitudes, Behavior. It's in tandem with the brand, etc. So what we're trying to do is to help you to determine your positioning, determine the topics, and then determine basically how we get that message out. And that's what I want to maybe spend the last 35-40 minutes on here. There will be some additional homework. One or two of the questions will be, and it relates to some comments that were made earlier about what makes me unique, okay? And we may ask you to talk about that next time. And again, it ties in with what the event planner will be saying at that cocktail party. What makes her unique? What makes him unique? The other one is, I'll give you a sample RFP, which is basically a request for a proposal from speakers. A lot of associations ask this. And what they do is they ask you to give a very brief bio, a very brief description of what you're talking about, and 3 takeaways for your audience. And what I would like you to do is to be able to identify 3 takeaways for your audience, because they're going to be looking at that when they're reviewing you or previewing you as well. That'll be in the material you get out. So what I would like to start off with in terms of just marketing yourself. Out of curiosity here, how many people have actually got a website at the moment by a show of visual hands? Okay, so am I correct in saying, Victoria, you haven't raised your hand, is that correct? Yeah. Okay.
Temporarily down.
That's
So
okay. Did you
I
go
didn't
on
raise
the-
my hand.
Yeah,
I wanted everything to be redone from scratch.
Okay.
I just need a fresh start.
all right, okay. So I think that's one of the core things you absolutely do need. We can talk about developing websites, etc. You don't have to spend a lot of money in developing a website. If you know a web designer in the Chicagoland area, talk to them. Other options for you are go to Fiverr or Upwork or someone like that and get something done. I mean, you can get a pretty good 5-7 page website put together by someone on Fiverr probably for $300. And it might do the job for you. Then you got to get following. That would be the first one. Second thing in terms of marketing yourself. Well, what did Ed Rigsby and Nashunda say that event planners are looking for when they're, Catherine?
I was going to talk about something Ed said, but it wasn't about changing my blog to my article bank. Like that is
Right.
such an easy thing to do. And I've been writing just about every week since 2014, right? I've
Yeah.
got bazillions of articles on my website and I have not used them well. So that was really meaningful to me to change it to the article bank and then look for things that I can send people a link to an article that will be valuable to them, I hope, and also showcase my my way of presenting the idea.
Right. Okay. I don't want to get into the weeds on that, but one thing you could do there, and other people could do as well, is that I'd maybe create an article bank link and a blog link. On
Oh,
the basis
you
that,
think both, huh?
you just rework your articles or your blog slightly to make it more appropriate as an article. That won't take a lot of work. But what it does is websites depend on content, and the more content you got on your website, the better. I'm not saying you do it, but that's another way to look at it. But Steve will take your question and comment, and then want to address the question.
Yeah, my question is, there's no question, it's an answer to your question.
Yeah,
And the takeaways that I from Nashunda Williams and Ed Rigsby are twofold. You've got to know who you are and what you're about, and then you have to be able to deliver and articulate, I speak on X, or sales in my case, and my unique approach is X. So
Okay.
differentiation.
all right. Thanks for that. I'll just re-clarify the question. What did they say that event planners want when they're reviewing or previewing a speaker? Yeah. Laurie, we've got Brooke and Kashan. Laurie?
Oh, videos.
Yeah. Brooke?
10-minute.
On plus.
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
What you speak on plus.
Okay, all right, Kashan?
They want a unique differentiator, like what's going to set you apart. I love the
Okay.
idea that both of them mentioned the umbrella, and so how do you set yourself apart under that umbrella?
Right, okay, all right. I want to take what Laurie said, because this is absolutely critical for speakers. You got to have video. I'm leaving it sink in.
Hello.
Okay, right. Laurie, your comment?
Yeah, so when you say gotta have video, I don't have video of me speaking, but I can create a YouTube video and that will also count, correct?
This is the point I wanted to emphasize here. I've got a lot of videos of me doing conference work, etc. There's a lot of those up on YouTube. But I also put up videos of me actually here out walking the land. Okay?
Yeah.
And if you don't have conference video at the moment, I wouldn't worry too much about it. Hopefully you'll get it at some stage. But what planners do want those, they want to see what you look like and how you actually project. And if you have got good content, you can easily do a 2 or 4 minute little clip for YouTube that you then title it appropriately, and you can hopefully get some business out of that. The other thing is more and more YouTube is really pushing these 60-second shorts. And so, I mean, if you have got, let's say you've got Catherine's going to do 10 points on how to communicate best with your audience. Catherine could actually, I would suggest, create 10 less than 60-second videos from her room there if she wanted to, or create a background behind it, pop them up on YouTube over a couple of days, spacing between them, etc. She is creating some content there, and you can then direct your event planner or meeting planner to that. Kevin,
Why
your
not
thoughts?
consider short videos on LinkedIn? I do that every Tuesday and Thursday, and I get more hits with video than what I do with writing. And it also is a way, it's not a speech, but it's a way for them to figure out what's this guy like and what are his thinking, what's his thinking on things. So that's another way to get video without having to necessarily give a speech that you're getting videotaped.
Yeah.
And when you do have an opportunity to speak and you may not, Kevin had talked about hiring a videographer. But if you don't have that luxury to do so, Lisa Ryan talked about getting just like a stand that you can set up in the back of the room that can capture you up front on stage, but you got to make sure your sound is right. And so if you registered for her session, go back and watch that video. She spoke last Friday. So because she can tell you exactly what to set up, what to get to film yourself using your cell phone if you're in front of a room.
In terms of capturing video, one of the areas that I would suggest you be careful of spending money is there are a number of people in the NSA community who will offer to produce your video. You'll go over, let's say, to Utah or something like that, and they'll create a little showcase there. They've got a nice little backdrop, etc., and you're apparently speaking to a larger audience, and they charge you $10,000 for it. And you get a good video, in fairness, but I think meeting planners know exactly what it looks like. You don't necessarily need to spend that. Some of the better video that I have got is that if I go down to, let's say, I remember I did one in Nashville a couple of years ago. I phoned a couple of wedding planners and said, I'm in Nashville next Wednesday for workshop sessions. Would you be interested in doing some work with me? Paid him $300 for the 1 hour he was there. And I've been able to create numerous other videos out of it as a result. So that's one way of doing it. Brooke, let's just make one other comment. Ed made the comment, the video doesn't have to be great quality, but make sure the audio is good. That is absolutely true. And if you're going to do a video, I mean, if you do a video on iPhone, it actually is going to be quite good and suitable for YouTube. But if you do a video on iPhone and it's taken from the back of the room and the audio isn't any good, you're wasting your time. Just make sure you've got good audio on your video as well. Brooke.
Thank you. I'm glad you brought up this topic. I have a potential gig, and I thought about the idea of bringing in someone to get some content on video. So a couple of questions. Obviously, it sounds like you'd have to talk to the event planner and the meeting organizers ahead of time, get their permission that I'm going to be bringing in someone to video. And second, what do you do about consent from the audience if some of their faces or comments show up on the video? Do you have people sign a consent that they may end up in a final production somewhere? How do you handle those two things?
I'm an Irish guy. I don't ask for consent. People know they can see the camera around there, but I haven't had any problem with it. I mean, technically, I'm not saying you should do that, but that's what I do. Kevin, you have a very good videographer that you use quite a lot. Do you actually ask for permission at that stage when you're doing it?
We didn't, but the meeting planner started out by saying, Kevin's videotaping today. If you would prefer not to have your image videotaped, you might sit in the last 10 rows. Or being here gives us permission, blah, blah, blah. Nobody moved, but it just alerted them to why we were videotaping. And so I'm Irish too, so I haven't gotten in trouble yet.
Yeah. Right, Catherine, you raised your hand.
Yeah, I really like your idea of take my 10 points and make little 1-minute videos for YouTube. That's a DIY project, obviously. I'm not hiring somebody for that. I have struggled with editing video. And does anybody have suggestions or a software or something that you can make it clean? Because I've recorded things and then, you know, it's like hours to try to get the beginning where it's supposed to be.
Canva is great. They have video editing tools.
Canva?
Canva.com.
Yeah, okay. I have Canva. I don't really know how to use it, but
Their video editing is super makes it super easy.
Okay.
It's very user friendly.
that's helpful. Thank you. Because there's an edit function on my PC and it just sucks. I'll just tell you. It makes me want to get a Mac.
Yeah, well, the Windows editing is rubbish. I mean,
Yeah.
the most basic thing. What I do is I use I'm pretty good on Premiere Pro, which is kind of a heavy duty one, all right.
Yay.
But another one that might well be worth it while looking at is, and I think I mentioned this previously, is Opus Clip, OPUSCLIP, Opus Clip.
Okay.
And what that will do, I think a free version, you can use a free version for a little bit. You can just upload your video. It'll ask you, do you want to have a 30-second, 90-second, or a 3-minute video created from it? And it'll just
Wow.
automatically do it. So
Cool.
and it does through AI. What it also does is it actually puts the text in front of the video, kind of popping out the different colors. It's a Focus Clip.
Thank you.
Justine, your hand raised.
I was just going to tag on with the permission thing because a lot of my work has entailed working with principals and superintendents with sometimes really touchy subjects. But I think it's always important, no matter your audience, to ask permission. So I'll just always ask and say, hey, once we start working in groups, and these are more like breakout session style, once we start working with groups, myself or teammates might want to take some pictures while you're working. If you have any issue with that, please let me know, because we do sometimes use these for website purposes, etc. Because to the points made already, people will tell you if they have an issue. But I think it goes back to basic inclusion principles too. You never know why some people have privacy. You don't know if people have restraining orders. Like, you just never know. So you at least give people that option to tell you, yeah, I'd prefer if you don't use any pictures with me in them. So that would be my only thought.
And that's absolutely excellent. I mean, I do have make kind of comments to that, but I don't get any kind of signed forms or anything like that normally. Anyone else got other thoughts on video? One of the things
you might want to watch your background. If you're wearing a dark suit and there's a black curtain, you're just going to be a talking head. So you want to match your outfit, and I've had some friends who've done very good videos, but their outfits were really cheesy, and they didn't actually ask anybody else, how does this look? They looked in the mirror and said yes, and the mirror always lies. So it's good to ask somebody else. I'm giving a professional presentation. Should I wear these sweatpants? Probably not a good idea, but I love them. I've had them forever. And actually that's what people say. So it's really good to really be thinking about who's going to watch this video? What impression are they getting of you? And does your audience need a suit, coat, and tie? Does your audience like sort of, some guys think that Steve Jobs look is very cool for them. I think it was really cool for Steve, but I'm not sure all black still works in today's market. So it's something to really give some consideration to. And when you're buying clothes, tell them what you do for a living, So when you tell them what you do for a living, they can say, oh yeah, so maybe think about this.
Right. And that in a sense goes back to the image consultant and how you look as well. I find it intriguing that when you look at some of the photographs of some of the women in NSA, with their bios and their headshots on their websites, and then you meet them in person, there's a bit of a difference. Quite a difference for some of them, actually. I mean, some of them were using photographs from 25 years ago. I said, quite seriously, they are. But
And some of the men too, I think, Connor. Right?
Absolutely, they are. And in fact, I even noticed that with the programming on some of the television shows, like Aaron Burnett on CNN, the headshot they've got of hers from 15 years ago. I mean, it's so they're not the everyone seems to do that. But here's another thing though about video. And Kishan and the Irishman are the only people who have got background where they're actually branding themselves right now. And I do think you should give some serious consideration to that. And if you can come up with some good, appropriate background, which is dead easy to do with Zoom, all you got to do is upload a couple of photographs. And Justine is doing it now as well. Okay. And put your name on the background. I think it's going to help you just to, again, enhance the brand, because branding is about consistency and having the same message again and again and again kind of thing, and the same kind of image again and again and again. So what I would encourage you to do is to think about what backgrounds you might use. And maybe as we're going through this class over the next couple of weeks, you will actually bring in a new background, or if you're happy with what you've got, that's fair enough. But I think if you can do something customized to your style, to your brand, it's going to help you a little bit better. Kevin.
Yeah, I just wanted to do a shout out. I know Jeff's camera's not on now, but I wanted to reflect back to last week. Jeff, I really liked your visual. I just have a personal affinity for not using digital backgrounds. I don't know. It's just my personal thing. But I'm sure like,
many of you know that we are famous for the gift of gab.
But I really like Jeff's visual. I really like Jeff's visual. It was a live background, but it had his name and his ideas visual. So I really like that.
Yep, and that's basically the point I'm making. Jeff, all right, you got it there. Jeff Rogers Unlimited is pretty clear as well. And we got Victoria coming up with something as well. And Justine, yay, we're getting the idea, my people. We're getting the idea. What I would say is, without being presumptuous, Jeff Rogers Unlimited is really powerful branding. I think Irishman Speaks, that is pretty clear as well. What I might encourage Justine to do is, Kevin, I know you have got some thoughts on colors, and I remember you mentioning to me at one stage that yellow out of a blue background was really powerful. That's actually why I came up with that one. Justine, you've got kind of a white against a gray, so it's not as strong as it might be.
Yeah, it's hard to read her name.
Yeah, Kishan, your color is probably good, but then the lettering is very small, I would think. Maybe you could consider that. And similarly for you, Victoria, I think maybe you could just increase that a little bit in the background as well. That's the...
And, you know, it's interesting, when Jeff goes off camera, he has a different picture. It's him when he was, when he hadn't been working out. And this look is so much better, I think. This is so, you know, J-Lo would go crazy over you. So I think that's him. Right. And that's the brand, the Jeff Rogers Unlimited. So I think this is such a great picture of him. And that's an example of updating your picture. Yeah. And you don't have to hire somebody to do all, I mean, you know, we've got good cameras now. Just have somebody follow you around and take pictures, and you're going to get one that looks really good. Take a look at Liz's picture. Now she's a little close to the camera there. So that's borderline creepy. So what we want is, unless she has a reason for that, that might be a branding thing. So we don't know. But think about how we are coming across, and then you ask a bunch of people, how do you like this? What do you think about this? And then you have to add, tell me the truth, because people will tell you, oh, it looks really great, and inside their head they're saying, oh my God, you know. You don't have dark hair anymore, stuff like that. So just say, tell me the truth. I really want to know. And this is why these small groups are good. You can bring all your stuff to the small group.
Yeah. What I just trying to do for a second, I was trying to drag it up there, and there was some audio coming through. I just want to give an example of how Opus Clip actually works. So what I did with Opus Clip was I uploaded maybe like 15 minutes of my keynotes to Opus Clip. I'll show you now what the result is in a second. And I asked Opus Clip to give me a 60-second video out of that. What Opus Clip can do is it doesn't necessarily take 60 seconds contiguous. It can actually take maybe 15 seconds, take another 30 seconds, another 77 seconds or something like that, which makes sense and bring it together that way. So if you've got a 15-minute video clip, just you could actually end up with maybe 25 different kind of videos based on what Opus Clip is doing. So what I'll do here is, as I say, this is uploaded to, the video was uploaded to Opus Clip, and yeah, let's see. You can give me the nod if sorry, I want to make sure I've got you on screen as well. How am I supposed to see whether you're seeing this? Can you? I can't see you at the moment. Can you see Irishman Speaks video clip there?
Yes,
Yes.
we can see it.
All right. So we'll play this. Now the copy that appears down at the bottom, I have not brought that in myself. Opus Clip reads that also.
But the gift of gab that I want to talk to you about today, though, that will help every one of you in your practice and when you get back to your facility and get back to the ward, is GAB as an acronym for Goals, Attitude, Behavior. Goals, Attitude, Behavior. And now if you adopt and adapt this concept of goals, attitudes, behavior, it effectively, I do believe, will become evidence-based practice and will actually work through the rest of your organization as well. So the gift of gab. Are we ready to rock? Are we ready to roll? Let's go with this rigmarole. Okay. Goal, attitude, behavior.
Okay, so you can do exactly the same thing. All right, and it is not an I think I'm paying $19 a month for the pro version of it, but I think there's a free version of it as well. That's one way, Catherine, you could easily work on developing good content.
I just noticed that the video is vertical. That is now how it's done, isn't it? Used to be video was supposed to be landscape. Now it's portrait. Yeah?
The video was actually shot in landscape, but if you go to the Opus Clip, you can have the opportunity to go for portrait or landscape. If you're going to do a short on YouTube, it will be portrait.
Portrait, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, and also remember, there was no live audience there when he taped that. So that audience roar is all AI stuff. So
well, only 2,000 nurses, Kevin, only 2,000 nurses.
but we never saw them. So if you're doing it, if you want to do a video, do your video and you can pipe in the audience, you know.
Yeah.
I'm the only one that's going to be suspicious. And the thing is, if you wait too long to do video, you'll wait too long.
Yeah, yeah.
I've already waited too long. I hate video. You know, good face for radio. There's a reason I was in radio for 25 years.
You are totally dissing yourself. You've got a wonderful face for video.
Thank you for telling
And
me
I
that.
said to you before, those spectacles just differentiate you ever so slightly.
Yeah, adamantly disagree, Catherine. Your face and your glasses always capture me right away.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I concur.
I don't think I'm probably the only one with that barrier, you know, like a lot of people, especially younger people, have been videoing themselves forever and they're really comfortable with it. And not so much for some people.
Right.
And if I can just add on to that,
Please.
Catherine, and be vulnerable, you're absolutely correct. I prefer to do videos than actually writing, but I've been doing them for a while up to today. Sometimes I have to do 4 takes because number one, sometimes I'm my worst critic. It doesn't look right. It doesn't feel right. So I think the more you do it, right, you get more comfortable. I think with video, the best thing I love that Connor suggested that you do the 10 points or the 3 points, because I think you'll be amazing with that. People want authenticity. They want a straight shooter. And see, I love to talk. So I'm learning to get to that 90-minute. That's my issue. Everybody,
90 minutes,
I mean, 90 seconds. Make it 90 seconds.
60,
Oh.
make it
60
60.
seconds, I mean, Jesus, right? Okay, it's
All
time
right,
to go.
thank
No,
you.
but the 60 seconds, but I feel that you'll be perfect. Here are 3 things that you could do to, escalate your communication, and you're just a straight shooter. People look for authenticity. I really believe that you should try it. And if you have any questions with the Canva, with editing, just, I can talk to you about that, but I think that you'd be great. So don't feel bad. I do videos and I'm still my worst critic.
Right. And the thing is that Catherine has been on video for the last 3.5 hours and she's been terrible. I mean, absolutely woeful. But the point is, though, you've forgotten you were on video for the last 3.5 hours, and that's the best way to be natural.
You think
on
I've
video.
forgotten.
Yeah.
I never forget.
So I simple little tricks I would suggest for creating video from your home office if you want to do that. Catherine, for instance, when she was doing radio for 25 plus years, I mean, once you were inside in that studio after the first 10 seconds, you forgot that you were actually probably in front of a microphone. You were just having a conversation. And if we can do the same thing with the video, and all of you have really forgotten you're on video for the day and you've been totally natural, that's the way they do it. And what I suggest, if you're kind of anxious about this at the start, crank up your Zoom, start talking into Zoom, walk away for a couple of seconds and come back in again and start talking again. Walk away for a couple of seconds and start talking again until you kind of forget almost that you're in camera. And after a relatively short period, I do believe you will start becoming more natural and less stilted, which is, it's natural to be less stilted at the start, or to be stilted at the start, but after a short period, I think you can forget that you're on camera. So we've got Robin.
I'm wondering, can we use, like I've done a lot of webinars, and so I have Zoom videos. They're not great. I mean, I don't know. Could you use like webinar, webinar?
What would you think? What would you think, Robin?
What's that?
What would you think is the answer to that question?
Probably not, right? You want to see a live.
No, I disagree with you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, you've got video, and if you're doing a webinar, after 5 minutes, you've forgotten if you're actually on webinar, probably.
Yeah.
You've been completely natural, and that's the thing to do. Remember, Ed Rigsby said it doesn't have to be brilliant. It helps to be brilliant quality video, but it doesn't have to be brilliant quality video. You've got good web camera, and you've got good content, presumably. But I would suggest, if you've got a 30-minute webinar, pop it up to Opus Clip and see what they come up with.
Okay.
Isn't there a thing, Connor, that says don't let perfect be the enemy of the good, or let good be the enemy of the perfect, or something like that? In other words, sometimes being an imperfect speaker is more engaging than sounding like you're memorized or perfect.
Yeah.
And so engagement is about conversation. It's not about a perfect PowerPoint and me having every single word perfectly rehearsed.
I record an audio version of my article bank article that I used to call my blog every week. Could I do video with that instead and post it?
Yes.
With
That's called
I mean-
voiceover. Absolutely. You take your blog, you get a video, and you speak over it. It's called voiceover. Really easy. And you could just set them up where you're just dropping them. And especially you have a lot of blogs. Absolutely. You could absolutely do that. I do that too for some of my videos. I just do a voiceover. I'll take like an ocean or something, and then I empower people, meditate today, something, but I'm just speaking over, and then I have captions. And then also this is for the speakers who are going to be recording using your phone. Always look into that green dot. That's the camera right there, because if you don't, you will record yourself, but you won't be speaking directly to your audience. So you'll be talking and then people look like, why is she looking down? I used to do that. I'm only telling you because I used to do that. And my cousin was like, oh, no. You have to look at the dot because you're not looking at us when speaking. So pay attention when you use your phone as you're speaking to look directly into that green dot. That is your camera, and that's where your eyes should be so you can communicate with the audience. That's it.
We've just got a few more minutes. I want to ask Jeff's comment because Jeff is pretty good in performance. We actually have Chris Carter, who's a genius on stage mechanics and performance on stage, coming in a couple of weeks' time. Will help us how to connect better with the audience, create a good video, etc. But Jeff, your thoughts on how people might be able to either become more happy in front of a camera, or any advice you might give them?
So a couple of thoughts real quick is that if you're going to use your phone, there's a lot of nice software out there that enables teleprompter. So literally you can have your script in front of you. Catherine, I think the idea of you doing 60-second news reads of points or content that you want to share with people is perfect. I mean, that's just tailor-made for you to slot in, do a read, and boom, you're out. I mean, you could do that every single day and build up a really significant bank of content right away. You can also create a poor man's prompter, and I do this quite a bit with some of the virtual meetings and events that I host, which is literally to put a Word document with big type, so I don't have to wear the glasses, but with big type, and I just, you can't see my hand under the screen here, which isn't meant to mean anything other than I can scroll my mouse and scroll that document as I'm reading, as the line comes right underneath the camera. So right now, it kind of looks like I'm looking at the camera, right? I'm not. Sure. I'm looking just beneath it, and I'm able to scroll and to move that and to give that appearance of being on camera. One of the things that we teach on camera for on-camera training is to really think about speaking to a friend, right? You want to make it as conversational and as comfortable as possible. And so the idea is that you're talking to a friend. You're not talking to a camera. You're not talking to thousands and millions of viewers. You're talking to a friend. So it's just literally the tone comes down a little bit. You don't have to push as hard. Everybody should be doing this. Remember, take all of that down a bunch and just have a conversation with the camera. This enables you to invite people in, and they feel more comfortable doing that than if you're trying to sell them and give them something, very significantly or strongly on camera. But I can't say enough that having a video is better than not having a video. Having a good video is better than having a video. So it's a progression, but don't try and leapfrog it either. You don't have to. Robin, with the editing the stuff together, absolutely do that. And even though Ed said they're not looking for it, you can stitch that together by doing a little video on Zoom at saying, "Hi, I'm Robin. I do this and this." And one of the key things I love to do is to talk to people. Cut to, right? You can set up your clips and be a little narrator for your own sections and then go to the larger webinar. There's all sorts of ways of putting that stuff together. And I mentioned in the chat, if you have great audio, throw it underneath a montage of images, right? That works too. That gives them an idea for it. If you're completely out of your depth, yeah, work with an editor on Fiverr. I guarantee you have a cousin, a sister, a sibling, somebody who's got a 20-year-old who is able to edit anything on the fly. And so reach out to them, tag them. But if you want a professional to do it, start on Fiverr. You can easily move up a couple of notches without spending a lot of money and get those edited back. I've used Fiverr. I also do quite a bit of significant corporate video production. So I've gone all the way up the ladder. For the editing that we're talking about, the smaller stuff, you can really stay down at the low end of the ladder and get some great stuff. And Opus Clip, I mean, that looked sharp. That looked great. So you can even try it yourself. Do it. Just jump in, start making mistakes. That's the best way to do it, and get to a level you feel comfortable is with your time. And then if you feel like, it's taking a lot of time, reach out to somebody else, offload that, concentrate on getting the work and getting the jobs. So those were just a couple of ideas of that being on camera for the last 30 years.
Connor, I think Jeff is auditioning to be a new co-dean should anything happen to you, God forbid.
We're definitely keeping it in mind. There's no doubt about that. A couple of very quick points as follow up. Catherine, if you're going to do a 60-second, as I know you can do, I would just, if I were you, I wouldn't read it. But I would know what I'm going to say, and I know you've got that ability. to do that. That would be more natural. The second thing is, because we're now going to give you this as homework, gang, okay? We're going to encourage each of you to at least record a 60-second clip. We don't necessarily want to see it. We want to get your commitment and promise that you're going to do it. And one simple little thing in terms of doing video, you don't necessarily have to start from scratch again, because if you mess up and go gobbledygook, stop and say, you don't necessarily have to start from scratch and go again. Basically, just stop, get your thoughts together, go back at previous sentence and continue to video it. And then if you've got any kind of editing capabilities at all, you can just cut out the little piece where you messed up. That's what I find is a better way than having done a 4-minute video and you mess up the last 7 seconds. You realize, I'm not going to do another 4-minute video. I'm just going to go back one sentence before I messed up and continue and then edit it. That's a simple way to do it. But what we'll do is we'll give you a homework to do a 60-second video. We don't want to see it, but I think it'll be worth your while trying to make it happen. Kevin and Tish, final points?
Yeah, this is great. I learned so much from all of you, and it's just terrific to hear all of your ideas and to hear your enthusiasm and to see all the mistakes all of us make. It's just wonderful reminders that for our whole career, it's a really good idea to keep coming together in groups and just practicing and figuring stuff out. There's always something that you can learn. And I can't remember if I told you, but I went to the Johnny Mathis concert at Christmas and he forgot some of the lyrics and he was still great. You know, he looked at the audience, all of whom were 80 and above, and said, does this ever happen to you? Everybody loved him. It was not a big deal. So don't be afraid to have a conversation that's imperfect. Tish?
There's a lot that we talked about today. There was a lot that we talked about last session. And so what we would invite you to do is after today, as soon as you get off of this call, jot down the 1, 2, 3 things that you're going to commit yourself to doing as a result of what you learned today, because otherwise it feels like it's so big that you won't touch any of it. You won't try any of it. So pick 1, 2, 3 things that you can try out and come back and talk about how it worked. In your mastermind group, talk about what worked, what didn't work. There's a lot of great insight and wisdom even in this cohort. So capitalize on that as you continue through the remaining sessions, because 6 sessions are going to go fast. So start putting the stuff to work quickly.
Justine, I see you did the homework. I hadn't forgotten you before the session, but I have forgotten to invite you. I asked Justine to do something on QR codes. In next session, we'll ask you to showcase QR codes for maybe 5 minutes, okay? Appreciate that. Thanks for doing the homework on it. Gang, it's been an absolute pleasure. It really has, again. As Kevin says, we keep learning. You'll have plenty of homework over the next few days, and we'll see you in, is it 3 weeks' time?
Well, thank you to you, Connor, Kevin, and Dr. Tish. Thank you for showing up for us. Thank you.
Cheers. Take care. Thank you.